Dr. Perry, welcome back.
It's my pleasure to be here again, sir,
Yes, it
as
is.
always.
Well, it's my pleasure to have you back. So
Good.
I'm glad you made it.
Well, let me compliment you on your excellent judgment.
Well, I get it right sometimes.
Okay.
So, yeah, the reason why I invited you back was, we're going through this mental health crisis that we're going through right now. And the new administration's coming in, and they want to focus a lot of their attention on health, right? Physical health, nutrition health, and I would imagine also mental health.
Well, if it's all about mental health, then my next question is, what are people so concerned about health about? Why are they having trouble feeling healthy?
We're talking about the mental health, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So mental health, I would imagine the uncertainty of what's going to happen, the how to make it.
Exactly.
You're not making enough money, so
Right.
you're stressing. You're feeling depression because your thing that you wanted to do, you really can't do. It's a lot of different emotions that are going through people's minds. So
And what do you suppose is the single biggest obstacle that gets in their way to have a satisfying life and a wonderful experience in life?
well, people are always searching for nirvana. They want everything to fall into place.
Okay.
But-
Do people believe in luck?
Well, some people do, but I don't. I believe in taking the chance when it gets in front of you.
Well, you realize you're a lot more squared away than most everybody out there.
Well, I try to be.
I understand. And at the same time, though, could we say after all this time, your life, you have begun to trust your own judgment?
Yeah, well, I started doing that a while back.
Yeah.
And it's changed my mindset 100%.
Okay, so
Because
if it
when I'm-
changed your mindset
Yeah.
from what to what?
Well, when I put the onus on me that every decision that I make is going to affect me and my family,
Yes.
then I became self-aware that I'm the person in charge of it. I'm the one that's going to make the path, and I'm the one that needs to make it happen.
You realize with a remark like that, you're confusing this with common sense and logic.
Well, it takes time to figure that out.
Okay, so could we say you spent a fair amount of your life failing to trust your judgment until you finally decided to kick yourself in the backside?
Yeah, I think so. I think once you jump in and do something, and then it works out, it gives you confidence and it makes you want to try it again on something else.
Exactly right.
So
So some people do that and really have a wonderful life.
Right.
Some other people do that and lie and cheat. People in politics lie and cheat a lot.
well, that's a totally different subject that we can talk about.
Well, to be sure. But
Yeah,
the point
'cause-
is, are they doing the politics because they really want to contribute to society? Or is there a rather large population of people in politics whose objective is to keep their job while
I
they
think,
keep lying?
I think a lot of the new politicians, they go in with the mindset of, I want to make a difference, I want to help. But then when they get into the situation, now it's all about the re-election that they have to have.
Exactly right.
And so they're working on keeping their power.
Right.
Right?
Exactly right.
Because when they have that power, they know, oh, look, I can get away with this, or I can help my buddy, or I
So
can
could
help.
we say politics actually is counterproductive to have a quality life?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Especially if you think that the politicians are going to fix your life and make everything better for you.
Which they
No.
don't do.
You need to take self-accountability and say, hey, I got to build my path.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
All
So how do people deal with that first initial step of trying something and seeing it through and not be afraid to fail?
Well, how do they do that? Well, some people never do that. And then other people go ask a friend or a brother or a somebody for perspective. But then when they get the perspective, do they do anything about it?
Well, how do you get the backbone to do something about it?
Well, my thoughts are the following. When you were a kid growing up, did you learn how to swim?
Yes.
When you learned how to swim, sometimes you were at an Olympic-sized pool or some pool that you could swim in.
Right.
Okay. And sometimes you have to jump across off the diving board.
Right.
And that was frightening for lots of people.
Yeah.
And then some people finally, just jumped in.
Well, that analogy makes sense because you learn how to swim, so you know you're not going to drown from not swimming because you already learned how to swim. But if the jumping board is a little high, most of the time when you jump off that high, you're going to get hurt. But you can't.
No,
How do you
no.
how do you
Most
tell
of the
your
time,
brain?
if you jump off the diving board, you're afraid you're going to get hurt.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying when you fall like to the ground from that height, you're going to get hurt. So you have to force your mind to say, no, I'm going to be okay. I have to jump in because I know how to swim.
Which
and I'm going to
means-
hit water, which is not going to kill me.
What you're saying is, what you have to do is put a premium on trusting your own judgment, and most people don't do that.
How do you build the mindset to start trusting your judgment?
Well, you have to look at the obvious.
Okay.
And the obvious is when you finally jump in the pool and you know how to swim, then do you start swimming?
Yeah.
And then does it seem like swimming is no big deal now because you know how to swim?
Yeah, and that anxiety and that self-doubt that you had on the jumping board goes away
Exactly.
because you jumped,
that's
you
right.
landed, and you
So-
swam, and
so
you were fine.
An example would be I know two women right now, and one is in midlife and the other is late life.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them don't know how to swim. So, do they go swimming?
No.
No.
So that's what happens with taking chances in life. You just don't do it for such a long time that you're like, okay, well, that's not
right.
what I'm going to do.
That's right. How about this? You, for whatever reason, your loved one dies, and you're brokenhearted, and then you have to recover, which few people do. But of the people who do recover, very often they say, "Well, I just don't want to have another relationship." People do that all the time. Why would you have a pretty terrific marriage, and let's say your spouse dies, and then you finally recover to some degree, but a whole bunch of people, do they want to try it again?
It depends on what kind of marriage they had the first time.
Exactly right.
And so if they had a good marriage,
well, how many people
I don't know.
How many people know what it takes to have a good marriage?
People that are happily married.
No, people don't know what to do to make it work.
You have to try it out. You have
You
to
do?
go in and
Oh no! You have to try it out.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you were in high school. Were there dancing experiences with the kids? They'd go have a dance.
Yeah.
All right. And were there lots of people, men and women? Men were over here on this wall, and the women were over here on this wall, and they were just looking at each other, and they never had the guts to ask anybody to dance.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah. So why would you go to the dance if you know you haven't got the guts to ask somebody to dance?
Well, because when you're getting dressed to go to the dance, you think you are going to do it. And then when you get there in the situation,
So what is causing that behavior to resist asking anybody to dance?
is it the possible chance that you might fail?
Okay. Let's suppose you jump in the pool and the water's cold.
That's not going to kill you.
No.
It's going to feel like shit, but it's not going to kill you.
So could we say sometimes you just have to get on the dance floor?
Yeah.
Okay. And do most people do that?
Eventually they do. So that's life too. So if you want to start a new venture, a new business, a new career change, you just got to do it.
All right. So I'll give you another
Right.
one. Here's another one. When you were growing up, did you ever see on television a show called Soul Train?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you remember about Soul Train?
I remember there was a line, and then they would do the dance in the
Right.
middle, coming in and do
Right. And did they look like they really knew a lot about dancing?
Yeah, they were enjoying themselves.
And do most people ever think, I want to do that too?
I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. If they like dancing, I would imagine
What's
they do.
your guess? Most of them think, wouldn't that be nice? And most
Yeah.
of them don't do it.
Yeah, because if it feels good to look at it, it probably feels good to do it too.
No, if it feels good, it feels good for people who actually want to do that. But most people are afraid to ask somebody to dance. I mean, if you just think about the dance floor and what's going on, if there's a bunch of women over here and a bunch of men over there, what do the women want?
They want to be asked to dance,
Exactly.
unless it's a Sadie Hawkins dance
Instead of what?
instead of just standing around.
No, no. What do the women want? They want to be asked to dance.
Yeah.
What are they unwilling to do more than half the time?
What do you mean? What are they willing to not do? I don't understand the
they
question.
are unwilling to go ask a guy to dance.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
Guess.
I have no idea. I mean, they're afraid to be.
They're
turned
afraid.
down.
Oh my God, we're back to they're afraid.
But that also goes with culture, though. It's culturally not common for women to ask a guy to dance.
Okay, fine.
I mean, they do it now. It's a little bit more open minded, but I can see why they don't want to
okay,
do it.
all right. You go to the dance, and there's a women, and they want to be asked to dance. Mm-hmm. There are guys over here. Are they asking her to dance?
No.
No. So what happens? Got a whole bunch of women who want to be asked to dance, and a whole bunch of guys who don't have the courage to go ask her to dance.
Okay, so how do you build your courage?
What's your guess? Let's go back to the swimming pool or
jumping
where?
out the swimming pool.
That's right.
Or finding a new career. How do you get the courage to do that? You just have to get your feet wet. You just have to just do it
Well,
and not be afraid to fail.
is it fair? Are you likely to fail?
Probably, yeah.
Okay,
Most of the time.
and is that part of the program?
Yeah.
Okay, so most people spend their lives here. There's a woman I know who has been working in a job for many years.
Mm-hmm.
She hates it. Will she leave? No.
Why not?
Is she very talented in other areas? Answer: yes. But is she ever going to leave her job? No. Why? Because she's afraid she won't ever get another job like this job, which frankly isn't a good fit for her.
Wow.
So why is she unwilling to go do some stuff around which she's actually talented? Why is that?
She's afraid to fail.
There you go.
So how do you stay away from being afraid to fail?
Oh, I don't know. What's your guess?
I have no idea.
Let's go back to the pool. If
I'm
there's the
asking-
pool and there's the water, what do?
I'm asking the doctor to give me the answer,
You already know what the answer is.
but I want you to say it.
You have to go jump in the pool.
Okay, so now don't be afraid to fail. You're not going to drown.
You're going to be afraid.
You're not going to drown.
That's
You're
right.
not going to die.
No.
Just go try it. Right?
Have you ever run into somebody? I know two women that don't like to drive. Mm-hmm. And why don't they like to drive? Because they can drive.
They're afraid of crashing.
There you go. So, do they want somebody to drive them all the time?
They probably don't, but
Or they're anxious about what?
crashing.
Right. Oh my God, I'm in a car and I could have an accident. And the answer is, yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
On the other hand, think about it. You've been driving for how long?
A long time.
I started when I was 16.
Yeah.
Okay.
15 and a half.
Okay. Well, you had a learner's permit at 15 and
No,
a half.
I had a learner's permit at 15. My mom signed the waiver
So-
at 15 and a half, and I got my license.
So she lied. She cheated. Okay, good. All right. So
Though she didn't cheat. That was a
the
law.
point is that lots of people really are kind of stupid when it comes to driving.
Mm-hmm.
Putting makeup on in the mirror while they're driving the car. Are you out of your mind?
The answer is yes, they are.
I mean, you have to learn that stuff the hard way.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this? The girl goes out with the bad boy.
Mm-hmm.
How much do girls growing up like bad boys?
Oh, they like them.
Yeah, what is it that they like about a bad boy?
I have no idea. I'm not a girl, and I don't like bad boys, so I don't know.
You got to guess?
If I was going to guess, maybe they think they can change them.
Exactly. That's number one. And
Mm-hmm.
number two is she's attracted to his bad boy behavior, which gives her the illusion that he's confident.
Oh, and okay, that makes sense. So it's a psychological thing.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is if you want to look at your life over a long period of time, let me ask you this. How many times do you guess, since I've been doing what I do for a living for, oh boy,
You need some fingers so you can count the years.
yeah, many, many, many years.
Yes.
And all over the country and all over the world.
Yes.
All right. How often have people said to me that I'm really lucky?
Probably a lot.
Yes.
Because you live a happy life.
Well, how is it that I'm
nice
lucky?
home. You took all the advantages when they were in front of you. Every
did,
opportunity
yes.
that came up, Chris.
Okay. So when people say to me, Dr. Perry, you really are very lucky, my thoughts are, yeah, it's funny. The harder I work, the luckier I get. I mean, it's insane.
How old were you when you learned accountability?
How old was I?
Yeah. Were you born with it?
My father was the benchmark standard. My father was a big band leader.
Okay.
And he took me to a local high school, and he said, "Hey, son, you see that big band on the stage?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Does any of that look attractive to you?" And I looked at this guy playing saxophone, big fat guy named Bob, and he played alto sax.
What's up, Bob? Hope you're watching the podcast.
I looked at my dad and I said, "Yeah, I'd like to do that." Well, here's a lifetime of playing woodwinds and being very successful doing it.
And if you screwed up, your dad would be the first one to tell you?
He gave me a really good lesson that I remember to this day.
Can you share that lesson?
I will do it right now.
Okay.
This is probably the most life-changing conclusion and advice that I've lived with my whole life. So I'm playing saxophone in the sax section of the big band, and I was under the illusion that I was a big deal. Only come to find out later, it's only because I was so inexpensive. Anyway,
So don't think you're all that.
no, but
It's a good life lesson.
my dad, the band was playing a song that you're probably familiar with. It's called Love. Love is fair for the way that you look at me. You know that?
Yeah, I've heard it.
All right, it's a great song. So here I am, and in the middle of the tune, my dad is in front of 500 people, and here I am playing, and he takes the microphone and he speaks to the 500 people in the audience, and he says, "My son is going to play a solo." And
Did you freeze?
I was in junior high. Which meant I wasn't any good at all. And so he took me aside. Now listen very carefully. I want you to remember what I'm telling you, because this was probably the single most powerful bit of advice I ever got from anybody, and it was from my dad, who was brilliant as a big band leader. Everybody knew my dad, and he had big bands and lots of popular singers and all that kind of stuff. So he took me aside at the break, and I was feeling, I remember when my dad said, "And so my son is going to play a solo." And I looked at my dad and I went,
No.
"I can't do this."
No.
And I was convinced that the rest of the band members said to my dad, "It's true, Mr. Perry. He can't do this." I was just frozen with fear.
Yeah.
And he took me aside and he looked at me and he said something that really stuck with me. I was in 8th grade. Really stuck with me to this day. He said, "Listen, son," this was during the break. "Now listen, I don't care if you play well. I care that you play. You get the guts to get up there. You'll get good at it later. You're going to have to play a whole bunch of bad saxophone for a long time before it sounds like music.
Yeah.
So I don't care if you do well. I care you get the guts."
Yeah.
And that has resonated with me. And I'm in 8th grade. And by the way, I'm older than 8th grade, if you know.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can tell.
All right.
But
So-
yeah, that's an excellent life lesson.
So I said to myself, well, if all I need to do is have guts, I can do that.
Yeah.
Because my dad gave me permission to do that. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
It makes sense.
All right. One of the best bits of advice I ever got. And have I practiced that for the rest of my life?
Okay. Can you do me a big favor?
Go.
I want you to turn to that camera, which is you're facing.
Yes.
And I want you to tell everybody that's listening to you to get the guts to go get it done.
Get the guts to go get it done. Make the phone call. write the book, ask her to dance. Tell somebody something really wonderful that you're impressed with that person.
Yeah.
Be nice, pay attention, save money. Add to the community.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to fail.
You're
'Cause
going
that's
to
how
be
you can-
afraid, and the
that's how
answer
you-
is so what?
That's how you're going to get better.
Yeah.
Fail.
Single biggest bit of
Yeah.
advice I got from my dad in 8th grade.
Yeah.
And now I've worked all over the globe.
Yeah.
93 countries I've worked with and companies and making all kinds of opportunities in front of tons of people.
And being as successful as you've been in your whole life.
Yes. I'm completely unafraid of that.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure there's been several failures in your route to where you are right now. But
That's right on
just
schedule.
push them to the back. And
It's
learn
if-
from it and keep
you're-
going.
How about this one? You ever seen television where people are singing?
Yeah.
Okay, and sometimes you think, what the hell was she wearing? That doesn't look good on her at all. Or that doesn't look good on him.
Yeah.
What was he thinking? He looks like a jerk up there singing. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Does he know that he looks like a jerk?
No, he thinks he looks amazing.
Exactly right. But the point is, he's only going to find that out until what?
Until he sees himself.
There you
And
go.
he gets the reaction. So yeah, that's good. So that part of the conversation that we're having now kind of goes on the courage part, right? Get the
Excellent.
courage.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to try. And just
You're
go try
going to
it.
be afraid,
Yeah.
and the answer is so what?
Yeah. Okay. Deal with it.
The best thing my father ever taught me was in 8th grade.
It's not that you're gonna play the solo. It's that you're getting in front and trying to play the solo.
That's right. And, Chris,
And you're probably gonna fail.
well, yeah. And the answer
so
is
what?
The answer is so what?
Yeah. Okay. What about another emotion that maybe some people are going through right now as far as mental health?
Yes.
What about depression?
Depression is essentially an inability to marshal the requirements to get going because people are depressed. People are on medication all the time because they're feeling depressed.
Does medication help depression?
The answer is yes and no.
Okay. Can we break that down?
Okay, there's some medications out there that can take you to feel less frightened.
Okay.
But
So
does
so
it
is
give you the courage?
So
No.
so depression is part of being frightened?
Yeah.
Okay.
The biggest thing that people deal with essentially is self-doubt.
Okay.
And is that pretty much common for essentially everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when you see your role models, you see them at their best,
Yes.
and you think,
I can't do
I
that.
can never achieve that.
That's right.
But you haven't seen them at their worst.
And they talk themselves out of it, whatever
yeah.
it is.
Okay. So if somebody's depressed, first thing to get professional help, I would imagine, and figure out if it's medicine's going to help you or not. But say you go to your doctor and he says your medications are fine. You don't need medications. You need to get out of it in your head. What are some of the things that those people can do to get out of the depression?
What I always say is get on the dance floor. I use it as a metaphor.
Okay.
Get on the dance floor. And then learn something about keeping time and consider something about rhythm. Lots of people, for example, do you know the single biggest thing that people who are engaged to get married do before the wedding?
What do they do?
They get a package of 7 dancing lessons.
Who is that, like a thing that people gift people that are going to get married?
No, they just realize, well, I guess if I'm getting married and I'm going to have music and there's going to be dancing, I guess I have to learn how to dance.
Oh, so they're
Single-
preparing for the celebration.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can't learn good dancing.
Dr. Perry, you got to keep in mind that I'm Mexican and we're born dancing. I never had those thoughts when I was getting
Well,
married.
good, because your culture was much
Yeah.
more about dancing.
Yeah, our culture is like, your
rhythm.
uncles, your aunts, they'll
Rhythm.
push you into the dance floor and go dance.
Exactly
Come here
right.
dance
And
with
if
us.
they didn't push you, you wouldn't do it.
Probably not.
Okay.
Now that I think about
All
it.
right, so-
But I'm glad the culture pushes us to get into the dance floor and looks silly, for everybody. But
Exactly.
that's how you learn.
You
how
go
to
out
dance.
on the dance floor and have a seizure.
Yeah. But then you figure out, timing, beats,
Yeah.
movements. what
Yeah.
looks cool, and you see somebody else dancing.
A guy called me just a couple of days ago, and he said, "Dr. Perry, how are you?" He's a nice man, and I like him, and he has a great deal of respect for me, which is very nice, and I really like him a lot. And I said to him, "So, tell me about your bride. How's that going?" He's been married a long time, and I know her, and she's a sweetheart. And he started talking about, well, I just admit I'm kind of getting tired of her, and I didn't. And he started doing the whining, and I said, "Listen, I know your wife. She's a sweetheart. She's as wonderful as a woman as you are as a man. So, you danced during the time many years ago that you were married. So." Do you know how important it is that the guy has to know how to do ballroom dancing to a woman? 1, he makes me laugh. 2, he dresses well. 3, he knows how to dance. So I said to him, "Look, do you really want to throw your marriage in a garbage? Do you really want to do that? Or do you want to perhaps go get some dancing lessons? Because when you go get lessons, initially you'll feel dorky, like you've screwed up rhythm. You don't know how to move. But the reality is that when you get dancing lessons, and there are lots of instructors out there all the time. I gave him somebody to call. I said, call him and go get dancing lessons.
Yeah. Did he follow your advice?
I think he is.
Well, that's good.
But the point is, I said, why on earth would you dump your marriage with a woman who's really a peach cake? I mean, she's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
But I'm confident you don't dance with her.
Yeah.
So how about you and she go get dancing lessons?
Yeah.
And you're going to feel dorky at first. And you will have flunked rhythm.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel stupid. And the answer is, so what? Go get some dancing lessons.
That's good advice for...
When you go get dancing lessons, then what ends up happening is, what do you know? Sometimes your feet sort of know where they're supposed to go.
Yeah.
And then she feels really dorky and awkward. And she remembers watching Soul Train when she didn't know how to do any of that. And then what happens after more training and training and training, what ends up happening
Well, you
is...
get better and better.
That's right. He starts feeling good because she's impressed with him, and she's impressed with him because he somehow learned something about rhythm.
Yeah, well, that's
And
really...
so what does she do as time goes by? She starts getting her sexy on.
Yeah.
Women, when they're dancing with Prince Charming, women love that because then they think, look at who my man is, and I'm looking sexy.
Yeah.
And does a man like his wife to be sexy?
Of course.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, of course. Well,
At the end of the day, you just have to decide to just shut up and get on the dance floor. And I use that as a metaphor. Get on the dance floor of life.
Yeah.
And then go do it.
Yeah.
And shut up in the meantime. Kind of like my daddy told me, I don't care if you play good saxophone. You're going to have to get the guts to get up there and play. You'll get good at it later. And it was absolutely one of the best life lessons I've had in my entire life.
So am I to say that somebody that's depressed, that doesn't want to get out of bed, doesn't want to go to work, doesn't want to do anything, don't be afraid to try something new, or like dancing, like you said, or maybe painting, or just going for a walk?
Sure.
Just get out of your little...
Exactly. And
eggshell.
if you're going for a walk, particularly at this period of time,
Yeah.
because this is sort of almost Christmas, well, if you're going for a walk and you go to the park or you go down the street or whatever it is and you see some people there, you just simply say Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
And you smile. And what do they say in return?
Merry Christmas and smile back.
Exactly. And somehow you got off your backside, said Merry Christmas, and they said it in return. And do you feel worse or do you feel better?
It's not only that you feel worse or better, you feel a lot better because you said it, you made somebody smile, and they felt better too because somebody acknowledged them. You're not just two individuals walking past each other. You're
Absolutely.
actually giving
Absolutely.
eye contact and saying, hey,
Yeah.
I'm here, you're here. Merry Christmas.
So if you want to have better mental health, this is a good thing to do. I recommend highly that you do it, particularly now. Go to the store and get a variety of Christmas.
Ornaments,
No,
snacks,
Christmas
decorations.
messages. You're going to send a Christmas letter.
Oh, like Christmas cards.
Christmas cards.
Yes.
Go get some Christmas cards. Then, if you haven't got a list of all the people you like in your lifetime, start writing down who do you know and how do you get a hold of them and you like them. And when was the last time you talked to Ted or Dolores or whatever?
Yeah.
So basically, if you start writing Christmas cards to people that you care about, do they like that?
Of course they do.
And when they like that, what do they often do?
They reciprocate.
And do they sometimes invite you over?
Yeah.
And do people like to be invited?
Of course.
And are they generally willing to invite people themselves?
If that happens to them, yeah. Because you build a bond with your
No, my experience is because we have people over all the time. But when I think about that, I'm always struck with how many people don't reciprocate.
Yeah.
And then I say to them, why don't you reciprocate? We have these functions and you come by and you really like the party and all that good stuff. How come you never invite us? And they say, we could never have a party as good as yours, Dr. Perry. And my thoughts are, oh, God.
You
I just want to slap them.
need better friends, Dr. Perry.
We're moving.
That is funny. Yeah, we did talk about that a little while.
Yeah.
So another thing. So that good, two very good points on getting out of depression and also getting not afraid to start something new. Right, leave the fear behind, jump off, try new things.
Remember, I told you about that woman who still
Yeah.
works in that job and she doesn't like it, and she really is good at other stuff. And I've talked to her about it, and I said, you're really good at this. How about you go do that? I could never get another job like this, Dr. Perry. And my thoughts are, exactly.
That's what you want.
So
you don't want another job like this because you're miserable at it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm just amazed. It's politicians.
Yeah.
Politicians get the job, and then they're afraid of losing it, so they work overtime to make sure they keep the job.
Yeah.
Which, of course, says that they don't feel really good about it, but they're afraid what would happen if they don't get the job.
They're more busy trying to keep their job instead of fixing the problems that the people that got them in the power
That's right.
are having. So another thing that
another example.
Sure.
Of the latest election,
Mm-hmm.
it's quite clear that Donald Trump is going to get the job.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be signing up shortly.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, he used to be the president. Then he didn't get that job. Oh, and by the way, Biden promised he would not pardon his son.
Yeah, well,
And what did he do?
he had a little change of mind. Just kidding.
I mean, that's just such poor behavior.
Yeah, and it's I kind of saw it coming, but I understand him. It's his son. He did screw up, but it is his son. But he shouldn't have repeated himself saying, "I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it."
Exactly, which means he has real trouble. I think it's called telling the truth.
Yeah, and also I think it's Republicans. They kind of knew it was going to happen. They figured it's going to do it. It's just politics what they're talking.
Exactly.
But the people that seem to be more upset are the actual Democrats. People in the media, the talking heads, they seem to be upset.
And
that he
they're so
decided to do that.
upset because they're saying things like, well, if he gets the job, then I'm going to leave the country. My thoughts are, good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck. Okay, Dr. Perry, another thing that I wanted to ask you about regarding, mental health and stuff like that is, part of the stuff that that RFK wants to do also is the taking care of nutrition and stuff. How important is food for mental health?
It is hugely important.
Do you think if it's a pie of health, mental health,
Yes.
what percentage is food? Is it 50%, 30%, 25%?
Well, I don't know that I would call it in terms of percent. I would simply say There's some things you absolutely want to consume,
Okay.
and there's other things you do not want to consume.
Do you have a good idea of what those things are?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Okay. First, what you want to eat is what you would consider to be good food, as opposed to really full of sugar food or really stuff that isn't very good for you.
So
food.
let's talk about the types of food. So you said good food. To me, when you say good food, I have my interpretation in my head.
Okay, what would you say is good food?
I would say like on the less processing, the better.
Correct.
So like for instance, if you're gonna eat steak, it's probably better to get grass-fed beef, right? Or something from a local
Sure.
farm that they farm. You know, the
Right.
meat direct, no processing done, no
Yes.
refrigeration
And
for a long time.
as you know, processing now is so commonplace
Yeah.
that much of the food is not very good. If you have ever eaten in Europe, a whole bunch of that food would never be on the table.
Yeah. So to me, good food would be the less processing, the better. Whether
Right.
it's freezing or adding additives to
Exactly
make it last
right.
longer.
Right.
And so that's what I call good food. What do you call good food? Is that the same thing?
Well, it's the kind of food that the common sense would say, that's probably good for me. Next question. When people do not eat right, well over half the time, are they obese?
Yes.
Okay, so could we say women and men today are way overweight?
Yeah, that's a big problem because a lot of people are, like you said, overweight, and they also, a lot of.
Okay, what are they overeating for?
I have no idea. They're hungry.
If the single biggest thing that people are dealing with all the time in mental health is fear, then why is it that so many people are so obese?
Is it because they use food as comfort?
That's
Is
right.
that what they're doing?
That's right. I want to feel better, and so I'm going to eat.
Wow.
How many movies have you ever seen where the protagonist is a woman? She gets dumped by the guy, and then she goes on her bed with her girlfriend, and they sit there eating ice cream. How often did they do that?
That was a common thing back in the day when they built
Standard
they made
procedure.
movies. Yeah.
So now, have you ever noticed how overweight everybody is?
Yeah.
Now, women are overweight because they can't find a man. And they can't find a man for any number of reasons, and I'm not going to bore you with all the reasons they can't find a man. But what's happened is we now have a whole bunch of men who don't want women.
Wow. Because they're fat?
Well, the women are fat because they're unhappy.
Or is it because of their attitude?
That's right. And the men are basically sitting at home gaming or stupid stuff like
So you
that.
think there's too many distractions going on right now?
Well, it's the I'm unhappy, I think I'll eat.
So it's the quick search for dopamine
There you go.
that food gives you.
That's
that
exactly
the video
right.
game gives you.
That's exactly right.
That whatever candy gives you.
Yeah,
the ice
the
cream
more
gives you.
junk you eat, the more likely you're going to be sick. And the more junk you eat, the more likely you're going to be on medication.
Yeah.
And then when you're on medication, is it easy to get off the medication?
Does food change your attitude? Does it change your wiring in your brain?
Sure.
Is that
Well-
part of psychology? Do they teach you nutrition on your psychology when you got your doctorate? Or do they not?
I've always been really interested in cooking, and I've always been really interested in good quality food.
Uh-huh.
And so I always say, look, if you're stuffing your face with a bunch of junk, then you're going to be either hospitalized or you're going to be on medication or you're going to be overweight. And then you're going to be unhappy because you're overweight because you keep stuffing it in. And you're stuffing it in because you're looking for some kind of Some kind of feeling better experience.
Yeah, well, the dopamine hit.
And when you do that, you stuff your face, and after 10 minutes,
Your dopamine goes away, and then you feel like shit.
that's right.
Why the hell did I eat that greasy hamburger?
Because you were afraid. Everybody feels weak and afraid well over half the time.
Yeah.
It's essentially women and men will not get on the dance floor, and then they can't understand why they're not dancing.
Yeah. They have to go for it.
You have to stand up and play your saxophone in the big band, and everybody thinks you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And the reality is I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
But my dad said, I want guts. You don't have to be good at it. You just have to have the guts. And I thought,
Yeah, well, the lesson wasn't that you have to play a good solo. The lesson was you got to stand in front and face your fears. And
Exactly.
just do it. Otherwise, you're never going to learn.
that's right.
If you don't do it, you're never going to learn.
Well, oh no, you
Yeah.
have to get on the dance floor.
You actually have to shake your feet and shake your booty.
You know, it's funny. If you just think about the nature of what I'm talking about, does it appear to be blatantly obvious?
Well, it's obvious once you get
Does
over
it
it.
also appear to be common sense?
Yeah,
Could we also say common sense is very uncommon?
yeah, we can say that. But a lot of times you don't realize it until you actually do it. Because once you jump off into the pool, next time it's a lot easier.
Next time you get on the dance floor,
It's a lot easier next
you
time.
can have a seizure on the dance floor.
Or once you do your fourth, fifth solo in front of everybody, then it's a piece of cake after that. Your anxiety level drops and your
Sure.
confidence goes higher. So, yeah, that's good. Back to nutrition. What are some of the things that you think are making our people, obese, overweight? Do you think it could be? I mean, we talked about processed food, but you think it's also a lot of sugar in the food?
Huge amounts of sugar, huge amounts of processing of food that makes it bad for you. For example, McDonald's hamburgers, what happened recently?
What happened with them?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
The McDonald's hamburgers
Yeah.
started having real problems. One person died, a whole bunch of people got sick.
Oh, that's just back when they got E. coli, right?
There you go.
Yeah. Was that part of the processing that they were doing? I didn't get too deep into that story.
Okay, there were several farms that really had some serious trouble.
Yeah. So it's part of the processing that we were talking about earlier.
The food processing in this country is deplorable.
Yeah. Do you think the administration is going to be able to take care of some of that?
My experience is most people will change when enough people get sick.
Yeah. So I think maybe one of the things that the administration can do is put labels on food, so show or do public addresses to the people.
Sure.
Do more exercise, get out and walk.
Yeah, here's another one.
Or instead of subsidizing the sugar industry, they can subsidize the food that's good for you. That way we
Exactly
can
right.
eat healthier food
Another thing you can do
and not
is
make it
just
easy for people that process food to process more food.
take a walk.
Yeah,
Take a walk every day.
yeah,
You know about steps? You can get something on your watch
Yeah.
that tells you how many steps you took.
yeah,
Do steps.
yeah. One step at a time.
Or
You walk a mile.
do push-ups. Or get some dumbbells. You dumbbell.
Or get up and dance.
Get up and dance. That's exactly right.
Very good. Dr. Perry, thank you so much for coming by. It was great. We talked about health. We talked about mental health. So,
Tell people what they're doing right.
yes.
Start a database of people you know and have known for a long time. Call them. I miss you.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about you.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Because that way they know that they're being looked for.
And think about it. Call them.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't talked to you in a long time and I miss you.
Yeah.
Think about it. Somebody says that to you. I haven't talked to you in a long time and I really miss you. I would love to get caught up with you.
Yeah.
Is that going to make you happy?
It's going to make you happy for saying it. It's going to make them happy for hearing it.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So very good. Very good message. Good way to end this podcast. Dr. Perry, once again, thank you.
The pleasure was mine. I'll look forward to our next time.
Absolutely. Everybody, have a good night.
Okay.